All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to talk about something called the sovereign spectator. It's this really cool way of looking at why some of us just seem wired to focus on our own lives instead of getting caught up on the sidelines.
You know that feeling when you're in a huge crowd, maybe at a game, or you're just scrolling online during some big event, and you just feel totally disconnected? Like you're genuinely confused what all the fuss is about, while everyone around you is just swept up in the excitement or the outrage.
So if that sounds familiar, then you've definitely noticed it. The world seems to be locked in these endless cycles of, well, tribal loyalty. Think sports, politics, even brand fanaticism. But for some of us, that pull, it just isn't there. And today, we're going to figure out exactly why. Look, if this is you, the first thing to know is you are definitely not alone. There's actually a name for this. It's called the anti-tribal mindset. And it's not about being cold or uncaring, not at all. It's about a fundamental difference in how your brain is wired. Okay, so let's actually define this thing. What does it really mean to be a sovereign spectator? We're going to break it down not as some kind of lack, but as a really powerful and focused way of seeing the world. And the key phrase here is unique neurological and psychological framework. Okay, so what does that mean? It means this isn't just some personality quirk, you know? It's not just a preference. It's a really deep-seated resistance to that collective hype that drives so much of our culture. I love this analogy because it just captures the feeling perfectly. Imagine this. You're standing in a roaring stadium, okay? But you've got on these amazing noise-canceling headphones. So while everyone else is glued to the scoreboard, totally consumed by the game, you're free. You've got the mental space to actually look around, to notice the details, like the architecture of the building, or, and this is the important part, to start planning your own next move. So that brings us to the big question, right? Why? Why are some people so easily swept up by the crowd, while others just aren't? Well, there are a few key reasons, and we're going to dive into them right now. Okay, first up, let's talk biology. Could this whole thing be rooted in, well, your brain? Is it just calibrated differently? So, from a biological standpoint, it really comes down to one thing: dopamine. See, for most people, being part of a winning team or a group that's winning triggers this huge chemical reward, this rush of belonging. But if you're a sovereign spectator, your dopamine response is just calibrated differently. You literally don't get the same high from it, which makes you pretty much immune to all that noise. All right, so biology is one piece of the puzzle. But what about personality? Is there a specific character trait that's linked to this mindset? Well, it turns out there is. Research points to a really strong link with a personality trait called openness to experience. So think about it. The tribal mindset is all about the scoreboard, right? The simple win or loss. But someone with high openness, their brain is wired to look beyond that. Your mind is constantly scanning for new ideas, bigger opportunities, stuff that's way outside the narrow little box of whatever game is being played. And finally, let's talk about something we all have a limited supply of: mental energy. I mean, could this whole thing just boil down to where you choose, consciously or not, to invest your focus? This is a huge one. It all comes down to energy. Just think about the sheer amount of mental and emotional energy that gets drained by following a sports team or getting wrapped up in some political drama, the sovereign spectator. You just instinctively get that this is a bad return on your investment. That energy is so much better spent on things where you're actually a participant, not just sitting on the sidelines watching. And this right here is the most important point of all, so listen up. If you have ever felt like an outsider because you just don't care about the big game, it is time to completely reframe that feeling. This is not a social flaw. It's not a deficiency. It is a calibrated advantage. Your brain is literally wired to resist the groupthink that pretty much dominates our society. Okay, so now that we've established this is an advantage, a superpower even, what does that actually mean in practice? How do we go from just noticing this about ourselves to actively using it? Here's the core idea, the whole shebang. Your mind is built for participation, not just observation. And resisting that pull of the crowd, resisting groupthink, that isn't a passive thing. It's an active choice to clear out the mental clutter so you have space for the things you actually want to build in your own life. So, what are the real-world benefits here? Let's break down the powerful advantages that come from thinking this way, from being independent. Okay, let's put it all together. In a world that is constantly pressuring you to join a side, choosing to stay independent is an incredibly powerful act. It means you can consciously stop wasting your precious, finite energy on all the fuss. And listen, this part is so important. You are not missing out on the madness. No way. You are strategically opting out so that you can invest your energy where it actually matters, on your projects, your growth, your life. And really, that's the ultimate takeaway here. The world is always demanding that you pick a side, join a tribe, put on the jersey. But the sovereign spectator gets it. They understand that the most powerful move you can make is to not play that game at all. And instead, you get to build your own story. So, I'm just going to leave you with this thought. Now that you have this framework, you can get back to doing what you do best, focusing on your own projects. So, the only real question left is, where are you going to build your story?